Patch 3.0 of Honkai Star Rail brought us the new path of remembrance, and with it came a whole lot of reused concepts. Seriously, can you tell me what is unique to these units? Castress sips on her HP, hits all enemies when Pollux is out, and the final attack is bounce. So destruction then. Okay, what about Cyrene? Massive buffs, extra damage on top. That is very negligible unless you went to her E2 and got her a light cone. So Harmony then. Alright, then how about Hyacine? A sustain with way too much damage.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
So Abundance, but Premium. Remembrance's issue was the fact that it didn't bring any new ideas to the table. It siphoned off of the other paths, reusing their core mechanics. The difference? HP consumption. That's it. For some reason, every time Hoyoverse involves HP mechanics in their games, they cannot help but make it too strong and also not unique at all.
Okay.
You might think this conversation is going to segue into Rupture, and it should, but I want to talk about something that is more concerning than Rupture first. It's true, just like Remembrance, Rupture is Shield 4, uses HP instead of attack, is basically attackers but better, and does not have so many unique ideas, but Rupture will eventually fade away. You know what won't? Primary roles, DPSs, secondary DPSs, stunners, and supports. And in that regard, stunners are facing a key problem. In my previous video, I talked about how the merging of supports and stunners is a foolish idea. It simply does not make sense to merge the two roles, even if they sometimes overlap.
So, now that we've read the rules,
Where are you going? I don't know.
The reason that white people are inferior is because they don't have enough melanin in their skin.
At the end of the day, each role is standalone in comparison to the other. But with the recent release of Dylan, I'm starting to see a remembrance dilemma here, or at least a part of it. A gag that has been running around is that the newer the stunner, the bigger their kit, and it seems to stand the test of time so far. Dial-In and Lighter provide so much more in comparison to stunners like Lycon, Trigger, and Shingi. The value of stunners as a whole is quite diminishing when compared to the new ones. Why is this concerning? Pair it up with the previous remark about Rupture. Yeah, I said it will fade away, but I didn't say it won't last for a while. Rupture is Remembrance. I will admit, they have a few mechanics that are far more creative in comparison to Remembrance's core mechanics, but it's still the same concept. Shield 4 requires their signatures more so than the older archetypes and are very support dependent. This mess has the Hoyoverse stamp on it, considering how abundantly occurring it is, and frankly, with the idols coming, I fear that this isn't the worst of it. Leaks for the idols are quite scary. Scary in the sense that we've been getting leaks for them since the dawn of time for the game. We received leaks about an anomaly stunner, a very fresh concept. I actually like the concept a lot, but I have a few concerns in regards to that idea. First of all, let's think about the engines. Assuming you do not own the SIG of an anomaly unit, you most likely are running one of two engines, Grace's Signature or Weeping Gemini, and considering that one of these is an S rank, you most likely will be using Weeping Gemini more often, which is issue number 1. Stunning isn't the most optimal route for an anomaly with that engine. It even defies the purpose of the engine. Trying to maximize attack and AP on one unit but are unable to? That's fine, it's not Weeping Gemini. You'll get AP with every proc, but now, a stunner will invalidate the value of those procs. Of course, you will be triggering AP within the stun duration too. At max refinement, Weeping Gemini gives you 46 AP per proc, stacking up to 46 times. What? Stacking up to 4 times. Let's assume that the stunner does not have a prolonged duration like Lighter or Dial-In does, and that they simply stun the boss. That would mean you would most likely achieve 2 or 3 procs, missing out on some increase in damage. This doesn't apply to all anomaly teams. Miyabi is well and capable within her premium team to inflict attribute anomaly in succession, and Alice is to some degree able to do the same depending on the team itself. Bringing the Rupture Remembrance dilemma back to light, the new stunner might just be broken as well. The trajectory Dial-In and Lighter walked in shows that the next stunner will have an autobiography for the core skill, and that it most likely will also provide buffs or debuffs. I do have hope that it does not invalidate a supportive unit like Kyuzoha, but considering how very structured Anomaly is already, I have my concerns. If the stunner provides buffs and debuffs, stuns quickly, and is even capable of providing Anomaly procs, how bad could it be? Anomaly has been slightly out of the loop in terms of the new bosses, but this resurrection could be dangerous. The idols obviously will sell, and Hoyoverse always uses the characters that they know will sell to promote the most predatory kits known to mankind. For reference, Acheron, Cyrene, Phynon, the Herda, yes I said the Herda, this shit needs vertical investment. They use the units that they know are fan favorites and beloved by the community to propel their own money up and not the funny up.
Big fucking move.
And with that in mind, what the fuck could they possibly do with the idols? The leaks mentioned one to be an anomaly DPS, one as an anomaly support, and the third as an anomaly stunner, so obviously a standalone team. But even then, the remembranceification of the current meta is not aiding in the concerns presented. This concern is not necessarily for the direction that it's heading in, but more so for the older units. I don't think that the old units standing the test of time is necessarily a good thing. Star Rail is approaching version 3 with so many 1.x units left on the shores, and that's fine in my opinion. I think units should be viewed based off of how long ago they debuted, rather than the number next to the version they dropped in. Fei Xiao released during September of 24. It's been a year already since her release. It's somewhat reasonable to assume she would fall off. But Hugo? He released in May of 25. You couldn't even contest long enough because of Miyabi. She completely overshadowed him, both in his element and his combat. What about Jane? Jane released on September of 24, but expired around the time that Season 2 dropped. There's a faster clipping occurring for units here. Of course, you can still use them, especially with vertical investment, but comparing that to Miyabi, Yixuan, who will most certainly survive the test of time, there's a good reason to be concerned about the direction of the meta, but more so the stunner's survivability. We'll see if the new idol's anomaly support shuns Yuzuha out. In that case, we may have to keep an eye out for supports later as well. Generally speaking, this is a hoyoverse signed and trademarked move. Introduce an HP-based system, make them significantly stronger, unfair buffs, and then completely snooze. With Genshin, they managed, sort of, to not completely fuck up the units after Fontaine, but that is because of the elemental system. Not to be a dickhead, but Nuvilet is strolling with water torpedoes while the Notcry cast has to perform a ritual of 1,000 elements to get it to work. We'll see how Star Rail handles the next non-HP units, if they even manage to get a new region out. As for ZZZ, I am worried that the batch of buffs they are introducing and the buffing system generally is just a placeholder excuse for the upcoming power creep.